Hello, y'all, and thank you for sitting down and watching this interview with us. This is Real with O'Neill. I am your host, O'Neill. I'm sitting down with my good friend, Derek Avery. He is the founder of Waterford Sand Branch Coalition. He's an activist, he's a real estate developer, and he's a former Dallas County Commissioner, District 3 candidates. Derek, man, a pleasure you being here with me, man. This is exciting.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having us here, man.
Of course, man. Of course. And to be honest with you, man, I want to get down into the nitty gritty.
Let's
Let's
go.
let's just get right into it, man. What is Sand Branch? Who are these people? Where is this place located? And what's the story behind this community?
Absolutely. So in 1878, people were freed from slavery, and that's when Sand Branch was founded by freedmen. So it's a historic freedmen's town. The problem is in 1964, there was a wastewater treatment facility built by the city of Dallas right next to Sand Branch.
Hmm.
Sand Branch is unincorporated, so it's never been annexed. It's in Dallas County, but it's not in the city of Dallas. It's not in the city of Seagoville. And their water is contaminated. So they have well water and they have septic, but it's contaminated.
Right.
And it's contaminated beyond just the wells. The groundwater underneath is contaminated. So there's no fixing the water in Sand Branch.
Dang. So okay. So I mean, let's. The obvious question is why hasn't Sand Branch gotten water in 2026?
Because we don't care enough.
Who's we?
All of us.
Hmm.
And I include myself with that. Now, obviously, we're doing the work now, and there's a lot of people who've been there to do the work. But if we cared enough, it would have the permanent water, the permanent solution would have already been done.
Right.
But that's why I say we don't care enough. We have fancy galas, we have all kinds of things, we have people throwing money all over the place. But at the end of the day, when the folks go to sleep at night, when we have clean water, they don't.
Yeah.
And that's why I say we haven't cared enough. Because if we cared enough, we would have prioritized Sand Branch having water,
Right. Right.
particularly from the government standpoint.
Speaking of the government, and you just stated, man, there's a water waste treatment plant that's what you said 400 yards basically away from Sand Branch,
S-
which is kind of ridiculous that you have an entire treatment facility that is servicing all the neighboring communities, all the neighboring neighborhoods and whatnot. But then you have this one historic Freedman's town that's right next door, and they still can't be provided good drinking water. So tell me a little bit about this wastewater plant.
Sure.
Has there been any talks between that facility and the city, or excuse me, and Sand Branch? What's the story behind that?
They kind of avoid each other because the wastewater treatment facility now, the people that work there or who work there, I don't have an issue with. They're just
Right,
doing their jobs.
right,
And obviously, the people in office now weren't in office in 1964. And we understand what was going on in 64. You have a historic
yeah,
black town,
yeah,
and the city of Dallas puts a solid wastewater treatment facility right next to it. So they had clean water before that treatment facility was there.
right,
Their wells were fine. Now, part of some of the issues, obviously, sand and settlement was getting into the wells, so they would have had a problem anyway. But this just took the cake. They haven't done anything to help. As a matter of fact, beyond just the water pollution, there's a lot of air pollution that goes on there too.
of course.
You know, they actually got fined. A contractor of the city of Dallas was fined $197,000 for releasing, toxic chemicals in the air from that wastewater treatment facility.
Just 400 yards away from Sand
Right.
Branch.
So imagine
Awesome. No water and pollution.
and
Love that.
pollution, right? And imagine just thinking about you don't have water. They're treating water, but the water that's being treated, the contaminants from it are flowing into your clean water.
Okay.
But now you're asking for water and the same entities that are supposed to provide it are avoiding it. No one wants to hold the bag. That's the issue.
Yeah.
The city of Dallas doesn't want to touch it because again, they don't want to be held accountable.
Right.
The city of Seagoville doesn't want to touch it because they don't want to have any exposure to the risk.
Right.
Dallas County has no choice because it's in an unincorporated area.
Right.
And their hope is that people like us don't say anything.
Well, wait a minute now. So since it's unincorporated, I mean, I guess if I was someone who didn't know any better, I mean, why can't we just be incorporated? What's stopping Sand Branch from being incorporated, and what is the criteria to even be an incorporated town?
Great question. So you need 201 residents
Okay.
to incorporate as a town in Texas. So right now there's 94 households. There may be about 150 people. So there's not enough people. In the past there was enough people, but there wasn't enough
Mm,
will necessarily. I mean, if their wells were clean, they wouldn't necessarily care about being incorporated or not because they could get all the things that they need.
right. They'd be
So
self-sustaining.
correct. There used
Right.
to be 400 to 500 people, families, not people, but families in Sand Branch. So to see those numbers dwindle down
Yeah.
to where they are now,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who live outside of Sand Branch who are from there. You know, those are the people that when we started doing the daily videos started calling us saying, "Hey, I grew up there. I appreciate, what you all are doing for our city." They want to move back to their
I
ancestral
love that.
land.
I love that. That's insane. I mean, and to really talk about, where they were and how and where they are today, there were wells, were there not? Where there was
Yes.
there's a ground, and what I've heard is that they're in a floodplain, and so that's
I'll
why
touch
they,
on
they
that.
can't get A, B, and C, and we'll touch on that. But I really want to talk about the groundwater.
Sure.
Why can't they can't just use the wells that are in the area, or the water table that's under the town. What happened? How did this even get contaminated? What happened with the groundwater?
Leaching. Leaching from
Of
the
course,
wastewater treatment plant, allegedly. So
allegedly.
I can't say for sure that
Right.
that's what happened, but if you
But you know for sure that it is contaminated.
correct, we've had it
Gotcha.
tested. It's been tested before we even showed up.
Right.
It was tested in 2012 by Texas A&M. Then it was retested in 2024. I'm sorry, 2016 it was tested by Texas A&M. 2024 it was tested by University of Texas at Arlington. So
Okay.
they found E. coli in the water, they found phosphates, and they found any just anything you can think of,
Heavy
those
metals, I'm
particulates.
assuming. Yeah.
Yes, correct. And most of what they found is typically what is the offshoot from wastewater treatment facilities. So that's why when people make up all of these other things that it could have been,
Yeah.
that's the main contaminant. Once you have E. coli, and it's E. coli from fecal matter. So,
Mm,
and there's still people right now using that water.
that's insane.
Yeah,
That's insane that we have so much, especially in our community. We have so much admiration for our freeman towns, and
of
wanting to
course.
maintain our historic landmarks, maintain our historic properties, and yet we're treated like this. We The water that could be is polluted and poisoned,
Correct.
and the water that we should be getting, we're not, because of some arbitrary criteria that's
Right.
placed upon us, even though the numbers were there. There was
Correct.
500 families.
Correct.
And so, is there any other commercial interests that possibly could be at play
For sure.
when it comes to getting involved with, or dare I say, sabotage this movement to be able to bring water to Sand Branch?
Of course. I mean, when we break it down, if you think about environmental justice, there's always a commercial operator. There's always, when you think about
Always.
gentrification,
Yeah.
there's always an entity who wants to profit off of the devaluation of that land. So in this case, it's devaluing the land and it's devaluing it based on an environmental injustice. So if you think about it, it's called Sand Branch.
Right.
So there's value in the physical sand
Right.
that's there.
Cement companies,
Cement
concrete.
companies,
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
any of
Yeah.
those kind of entities, but
Yeah.
also you have to think if you can find land that's really inexpensive, if you can devalue it enough, we have data centers.
Yeah.
So imagine the
Yes.
insult to injury
Yes.
of, someone probably thinking, well, this would be a good place to suck up all this land
Yes.
and put a data center.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
have water immediately.
Of course they will. I think I saw one of the videos of I think they were laying down fiber optics. So
Yes.
they were laying get
Yes.
this, y'all.
Imagine that.
Imagine, before they can get drinkable water, things that are a necessity to live, go
Right.
get y'all internet. That's insane to me.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
and so, kind of going back to the commercial space, actually going back to kind of the contamination of the groundwater. It sounds like, and I'm assuming this is an avenue or a channel that y'all have been pursuing. But is there not a lawsuit that could be in play? I mean, it sounds like, they're contaminating the ground. This is against some sort of, I'm assuming, some sort of violation against the EPA. But I know that, like you said, there might not be any political will to even be able to pursue something like that.
Right.
But is this something that possibly the people of San Branch are looking into? That, their groundwater has been contaminated by a specific entity? Is there a, you know,
Lawsuits are very expensive.
yes,
Lawsuits are very expensive. San Branch is the poorest community in Dallas County.
yeah,
Um, so to even be able to do something like that, it has to be resident led. And there are some residents who don't have the energy. They say, why would I worry about a lawsuit if I don't have water?
right,
So it would have to be sponsored by someone else, but it has to always be community led.
yeah,
So that's probably the issue. I've heard in the past there were people that were doing that. Now, even when I try to meet with the city of Dallas, their biggest fear, they have meetings before the meetings with
of
us.
course,
And one time, y'all gonna laugh at this. One time we had a meeting, and so it was only on the co-founder, Miss Thea Walker's calendar, and somehow I didn't get invited
mm,
to that meeting, and so she just said, "Oh, Derek, you need to be on this meeting." I said, "Oh, okay, cool." So we got on the meeting, and I saw that the
they were
one
trying to
of
duck you.
yeah, it was funny because the city attorney that was on the meeting, she had a stank face the whole time in the beginning, and I was like, "Why does she look like that?" And every time I would say something, the meeting hadn't started yet. Every time I would say something, she would just look. And then before we got the meeting started, we were doing introductions, and I guess she was figuring out who I was.
Right.
She said, "Before we start this meeting, why is Derek Avery here?" And I was like, "Ma'am, I just met you today. Like, why are you so
That's
upset
that's
with?"
really insane. What was her problem?
She said, Your meeting is tomorrow."
Mm,
I said, "Ah."
that's what
And
it is.
so Miss Thea wasn't supposed to be on the meeting either. They didn't recognize her email.
Got you.
And so they
Ah,
thought she worked internally with the city of Dallas.
got you.
And so this was the meeting prior to our meeting. I just thought I'd missed the meeting.
And you don't have to name drop anybody. What department is this though? What
This
what part of the city are we
Oh, this
talking
is
about?
the water. Anybody, so we had everyone on there.
Water
Water
utilities, public works.
utilities, yeah.
Mm,
So all of those folks.
okay. Interesting.
So, and some of them are really cool, but
Yeah.
of course, when when you're when you work for an entity that possibly,
Hmm.
allegedly
Hmm.
created the problem, you have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And so their fear is that, I'm the black male Aaron Brockovich.
Hmm.
That's
Right.
their
Right.
fear.
Right.
And I understand that's a healthy fear. And honestly, if you're an entity that possibly has done something in the
Then you
past,
should be afraid.
you know,
Amen.
you probably should be a little nervous,
Yeah.
but who's nervous if I'm around? I'm just a
Right.
regular chill dude, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you making them shaking their trousers. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna be right back, y'all. I appreciate y'all listening in. We're gonna take a little intermission and we'll be right back. Appreciate it. And welcome back, y'all. This is Real with O'Neill. I'm your host, O'Neill. I'm sitting down with Derek Avery, the founder of Water for San Branch Coalition. Uh, Derek, we talked a lot about kind of the situation in San Branch, a area that is extremely, actually, I feel like it's indicative of how we treat our Black and Brown community, specifically in the DFW area.
Right,
Speaking of which, you know, at the end of the day, we're activists, advocates, community stakeholders. But at the end of the day, it's the cities, it's our politicians, it's our county officials that
right.
ultimately can make that decision to really bring water to this community. So I really just want to ask you, man, what are some of the excuses coming from the city of Dallas and Dallas County for not being able to bring water to San Branch?
Oh man, this is one of my favorite parts. Because one of the things that I've learned is that when you're in a space, when you're advocating for people, or if you're an activist, sometimes they forget, because someone labeled me an activist to insult me once. And I kind of cracked up because, they're an elected official in this particular area. So
Right.
I was like, that's an insult now.
Mm-hmm.
But along with being that, I'm also a professional.
Amen.
So what the co-founder is a professional as well.
Yeah.
And that's what we brought to Sand Branch. So one of the reasons that I bring that up is because those excuses.
Yes.
So they can tell those excuses to someone that does not have professional knowledge in the area of real estate. They cannot tell that to us. They cannot lie to us. So one, the floodplain. Let's talk about the
Let's
floodplain
talk about the floodplain.
first. So I could go the nerdy route because I'm a big black nerd. I
Right.
love it.
Right. Come on,
But
Blair.
also I could just break it down to where a fifth grader can understand it.
Do that. Act as if I'm a fifth grader. Go
Right,
ahead.
right. Because see, what I always do is I explain stuff to my children first
Of
to
course.
make sure if they understand it, then there's no excuse
Yes.
for adult to not understand it.
Right.
So think about this. If you look at the ground,
Mhm.
right? Floodplain is based on what's above the ground,
Mhm.
like a structure, like a house, anything. When you look under the ground, that doesn't affect the floodplain.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you don't change anything
Under
underground, if
underground.
you keep everything the same,
Right.
the floodplain is not disturbed.
Right.
It's only when you build stuff above the ground.
So it's essentially, and maybe I'm getting this correct. It's the topsoil essentially that kind of creates the floodplain. Is it where?
Anything above what you see on the ground, anything above that affects the floodplain.
Got you.
So
Got you.
we're in a place that's never flooded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can I say that again?
Yes, you can. Yes, you
We're,
can.
we're somewhere that's never flooded,
Yeah.
but we know there's a history of creating flood zones from back in the day, just like redlining with the
Yes.
safety maps and everything. When you draw the green line around the white neighborhoods and the red lines around the black and brown neighborhoods,
Yes.
it's just like that. They created floodplains in areas to devalue the land. Now, when it comes to utilities,
Mm.
where do you put a water line? Have you ever seen a water line above ground?
No, to be honest with you.
Have you ever seen a sewer above ground?
Nah, I seen a septic tank, but that's not part of
It's
the sewage
it's in, but
system.
it's in the ground, right?
Facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talk about municipal water and sewer, that's underground. If you don't change the volume, so if we created more volume underground that created an issue above
I see
ground,
what you're saying.
so if you have to take dirt out the ground,
Right.
you replace it with a pipe
Right.
that probably weighs less than the dirt.
Right.
So I would like to ask you, have we disturbed the floodplain?
No.
We built stuff underground.
Yeah.
So when our civil engineer and I sat down, now I think decently intelligent.
I would say so. I would say so
I
there.
think he's decently intelligent
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not Albert Einstein, and neither is he.
Right.
It took us 30 minutes
Right.
to figure out the issue in Sand Branch to do the whole solution.
Right.
I'll say 2.5 hours to really draw it out and map it. But 2.5 hours versus decades.
Right.
We're not that smart.
Right.
The floodplain issue is an excuse. We designed the system to where even the pump stations, for the people that are real nerdy, so the pump stations were designed where they're outside of the floodplain because there's areas that are outside of it. So we even meticulously designed the permanent solution to where it doesn't affect the floodplain at all. Because that was the next excuse that y'all don't know that y'all were going to ask. What about the pump stations?
Mm-hmm.
They're outside of the floodplain, y'all. The
Gotcha.
other excuse is it's not worth the investment.
That was my next question. How
So
much is it gonna cost?
So when you take out the floodplain excuse, that's really the big excuse. And when you take out I think well when was it? It was I think it was 2016 when they were having a forum at the American African American Museum.
Right. Right.
John Wiley Price said the houses won't even retain water.
The houses won't retain
If they
water?
have indoor plumbing, it can retain water. Let's not do that.
Right.
Most of them have the plumbing. It's just hooked up to a well that's contaminated.
Yeah.
All we're doing is switching the line to a municipal line. So that one can be deaded as well.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have time for the excuses.
Right.
So the big one, so when you eliminate all of those myths and excuses and things like that, oh, before I say that one, the
Mhm.
people don't want water. That's another excuse.
Which is insane. That's an
Have y'all met
insane
anybody that
excuse.
doesn't want
Hell
water?
nah.
There
No.
you go. So so an elderly lady quoted, she said, "Well, I haven't had it for this long. And I can't afford a water bill, so I don't even care if I have it or not." That's the one quote. That's not saying she
That's
doesn't want
no.
water.
No. At
That's
all.
saying she can't afford water.
Yes, which is a whole different situation, and that situation might have been averted if the community had what it needed.
Correct. So the last one is it's not worth the investment.
Yeah.
That's the one that gets under my skin.
Yeah.
And that's the one they can't argue with me on either. Because I even had an elected official say that, is it good governance to provide water to Sand Branch?
Let's rephrase that. Is he asking if it's good governance to give something that is essential to live for people?
Yes.
Ah,
And multiple elected officials have said, well, we have to make sure it's good governance to provide people to spend this much money
yeah,
on Sand Branch. Now, what they're afraid to say is essentially saying it's not worth the investment,
yeah.
but they have to say it in the nicest way possible. So what they're saying is that it's not worth the investment. Now let's talk some numbers. You asked me about numbers,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So we're saying 12.5 million, right?
Okay.
So $4 million for water,
Mhm.
$8 million for sewer.
Mhm.
That's honestly all you need technically.
Right, the base level.
That's the
To
base.
yeah. Yeah.
We put 4.5 million because we also know that so we're working on taking them out the floodplain, right? So that's part of it. That way there's no controversy.
Right.
But once you take them out the floodplain, once you bring water and sewer, you've increased the value of their properties 15x. If they
Already.
already can't afford their property taxes now,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen? If they're on a fixed income, they can't afford a water bill. What do you think is going to happen when you provide all of those things?
Right.
So that's why we
You'll price
said
them out.
exactly. So we're setting aside a $4.5 million fund because it's a community protection fund.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because it's to pay water bills, it's to
Yes.
pay property tax increases. We're working on a Senate bill to protect the property taxes, but while we're waiting on that,
Yeah.
we have to do something financially to help them.
You got any sponsors for that bill yet?
We'll
Well,
see.
we'll see. We'll talk about. It.
We'll
We'll talk
see.
about. It. Yeah, maybe okay. We'll talk about. It. We'll
Yeah,
talk about
we'll
it.
we'll see.
Yeah, I got you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, but we're not gonna name them yet
got you.
because we got to make sure.
Yes,
Because
yes,
the devil's always creeping in the details,
yes,
so we got to make sure that we get through the details. But please believe, we sat down and wrote it.
yes.
Water for Sand Branch Coalition sat down and wrote this bill. We wrote it ourselves. We are demonstrating that we don't need other people to do the work for us. We don't even need y'all to do the work. We'll do the work. We just need you to put your stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We'll go to Austin and advocate for it. But $12.5 million.
Okay.
Now, numbers.
Yeah.
The county wasted $2.5 million on a phishing scam.
I think I heard about that.
Like,
Just out the door.
because you won't hire
2.5.
an IT director,
Yeah.
the county got phished for $2.5 million. Well, that's almost what we need.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Odyssey, the program that they use to talk between the courts and the jails, they had to spend a couple of $1 million just to realize that those two software systems won't talk to each other. So what's the point of even buying it?
Right. Right.
We're
We do IT so terribly at Dallas.
Yeah, because there's no IT director.
Yes. Facts.
You could pay someone, you can pay them nicely. You can pay them 250K a year. That
Mhm.
would save you millions of dollars.
Yes. Yes.
But sometimes I wonder if they even want one. It's a little harder to
Yeah. Yeah.
manipulate, allegedly.
Right.
So again, we haven't released a bond that does anything other than build county buildings. So we throw 30 million here. So that Polk Street building, that was 35 million.
Yeah.
Yes, we need government buildings, but the last bonds that we released were for $150 million. The only results for those bonds were new buildings. So Sand Branch is an investment. Those buildings, they call them investments, but there's no return on investment for a county building other than it houses a function of the county, right?
Right.
Well, that's what we pay taxes for anyway.
Right.
Bringing water to Sand Branch is less than all of those investments.
Yes. And it's a right.
And it's a human right for people to have water.
Yes.
But even if you look at it from an investment standpoint, they pay property taxes. They've been paying property taxes
Yes.
for decades and they haven't had clean water.
I think that's the biggest insult.
It's
Uh,
an insult.
that is an insult. To have a community, a historic community that's been living here for when was Sam Branch first built?
1878.
1878.
They were there before the wastewater treatment plant, you know. So
That's insane. And speaking of, since we're talking about officials and whatnot, your favorite official, you ran against Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price. First off, what powers, say you were to get that office, what powers does that seat provide you to be able to push forward this movement?
so
Or, and part B,
okay. Okay.
why hasn't John Wiley Price done what he's needed to do to bring water to Sand Branch?
Well, one, y'all can ask him.
I'll definitely ask
I
him.
would love for y'all to
I will
call him.
send this. Actually, I'm gonna send this video to his office so he can reply, so I can actually interview him to see if he wants to have a rebuttal. But go ahead.
Sure. Sure. He did a podcast a few last year, and the question was about Sand Branch, and of course, he ducks the question. He says it's not worth the investment.
Insane.
It's not good governance. So I called the office. So one, I didn't run against John Wiley Price. I ran for
Yes.
the people.
Yes.
The people own that seat. John Wiley Price does not.
Yeah.
And one of the things that that seat can do, one of the biggest things is you can release policy. You have broad policy making authority
Okay.
for the county. The easiest, simplest thing that can be done is you can release a bond and not only take care of Sand Branch, you can take care of all of the unincorporated areas. Because one of the things that he mentioned was that I have 10,000 people without water in Dallas County. Well, fix those too. So,
Exactly.
so
That's not. That doesn't mean to do nothing, or at least not to say nothing, but I know that when it comes to getting things done quickly for politicians, whenever they want to get something done quickly,
they make it happen
automatically they're doing meetings, they're bringing in money, they're bringing in funds, they're
because they
signing
care.
bills because they care. But all of a sudden now, well, there's this prolonged bureaucracy. There's this red tape. Well, I would have to do A, B, and C, and I'm just not able to do that. Why can't?
Right. Those are excuses.
Got it.
You don't care enough.
Got it.
And I'll say that point blank. I called the office to have a conversation.
Right.
He wouldn't call me back, all of that. And I called this was before, I decided to run,
Right.
in 2024. So when I realized that, nothing was going to happen, so then of course I sent an email and got, the Federal Office of Environmental Justice involved,
Right.
had this big giant meeting, and he didn't show up to that meeting, of course. And Clay Jenkins showed up and he was like, this is an injustice. And but we also asked him, hey Clay, we put together this $60 million bond that
Mhm.
would help all of the people in unincorporated areas or in areas that lack the proper infrastructure for water in Dallas County,
Right.
not just Sand Branch. These are, and
Yeah.
not interested. That the thing is, he said, well, the city of Dallas should just annex Sand Branch and they should take care of it. So again,
Okay. Well, I mean, what's the? Actually, it's funny you said that because I kind of want to get into solutions. What solutions are available to us at the municipal level, at the state level, and at the federal level.
I mean, there's money everywhere.
Of
First,
course.
let's just not
Yeah,
mince
they got
words.
monies, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's money. They
We,
create money.
I mean, aren't we about to build, or we're trying to build a mega jail for like a couple billies?
5 billion. This is why me and Dallas County, we have to be honest with each other. If you're willing to build a human warehouse
Yep.
facility for $5 billion, then you can't slide 12.5 million to Sand Branch
For water,
for water. You
that's
feel me?
insane.
So that's why I don't listen to those arguments. The city of Dallas itself
Mhm.
released a bond for 53 million a couple of years ago for a mistake that a city manager made 4 city managers ago about an oil lease. So they just create, and they don't like talking about it. They created $53 million in a bond for a mistake. There's no return on investment for that money.
Mhm.
That's just covering a mistake.
53 million.
53 million.
And how much does it cost to bring water to Sand Branch?
12.5. So that's why I don't listen to the excuses. The state, it's not a priority. There's a group in Sand Branch that keeps applying to the state, and it's like, oh, we'll get there someday. And,
Yeah.
I'm
Not,
not affiliated with that group,
yeah.
but they've got all kinds of people helping them apply for these things. And me, I don't like wasting my time.
Yeah.
When you call offices and they're like, oh, you're probably going to be 800 on the list. I don't have time. Y'all can do that.
Yeah.
However, we can find 12.5 million. So
Here in the county.
right here.
Yes.
But even if the state is there, when we sat down in 2024, Miss Thea over there, who's in studio with us, wrote almost by herself a grant to the federal government because they called us. I want y'all to hear something. We don't chase anybody.
Mhm.
We do our work, and whatever comes to us, comes to us. We don't chase, we don't beg. Don't beg anybody for anything.
Amen.
We don't beg for anything. We create value, right? They called us. And at the time, I think it was because, Jasmine Crockett went over to the EPA and said, hey, what are y'all doing? So the EPA called us and said, hey, can y'all apply for the community change grant? And so we did. Then Trump got elected,
Mm.
ended the whole grant program.
Mhm.
We had signed up to, we were going to do 19 million, rebuild some houses,
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff. Obviously, the water was there
Right.
because the money is there.
Right.
But then when a different administration comes in,
Yeah. They
the whole 600 some million, almost $1 billion of that grant completely canceled. So that was a blow to us because we were like, the money's up there.
right. It was
So
right there
then
dangling in front of you.
Right. So we thought, oh, this should be a piece of cake. We just needed to quarterback it through
Right.
because that's usually the issue.
Yeah.
You don't have people quarterbacking because you have to have people on the outside making noise and you have to have people on the inside
Yes, I agree.
writing policy, making things happen.
Yeah.
Well, we just so happen to have both.
Yeah.
So it works out great. So now
Mhm.
that was a big blow.
Yeah.
So of course, we had to go into let's do it the only way that we know how to do it. And
Yourselves.
yeah, ourselves do it the hard way. So that's why we say, okay, well, if it's not at the federal level, if we can't get it there, we can't get it at the state level. So local is what we have, and the public is what we have.
Right. Right.
So 12.5 is pocket change for the county.
It is.
It's pocket change. I mean, and I'll be honest, James Tallarico himself looked me in the eye and said, that's pocket change.
Mhm.
So hopefully, on the back end, he'll continue helping because he's been instrumental.
Yes, we'll see. We'll see
We'll
what
see.
happens in the
We'll see.
future. We'll be right back, y'all. We're going to talk a little bit more about Derek's past and why it's important that we continue fighting for Sand Branch. All right, Derek, man. We talked about a little bit about the situation in Sand Branch, what Sand Branch is, some of the solutions, and the city officials that may or may not be getting in the way of the progress we're getting water for the people of Sand Branch. But I want to talk about you. I want to talk about why you care and why this is such a personal thing for you.
Uh, Yeah, that's a good one. And I love that question only because a lot of people always assume someone has an agenda,
Yeah,
right? They assume it's money.
yeah,
I I got enough money. I can pay a couple of bills and feed my children, right? And I'm not greedy. Also, politics, not about politics. If it were about that, I would have disappeared. Also, I would have showed up. I wouldn't have shown up ahead of time.
right.
It's personal. Sam Rich is personal. So where I'm from Alief, Texas. I'm from Houston. Alief is a suburb of Houston,
Mm-hmm.
but suburb I use that loosely, right?
Right, right, right.
Because
Yeah,
I was born in Third Ward, went to church in Third Ward all my life. We lived there until we moved to Alief. Everybody from Third Ward basically moved to Alief.
gotcha,
So
gotcha. I feel
so
you.
you can kind of figure out what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was interesting is I noticed that a lot of my classmates, I looked around my football team and it was like everybody was losing a parent. It just seemed kind of, you know, like it just happened too often
Mm-hmm.
from probably about 14 till about my 20s. And I was like, man, and I lost my mom to cancer when I was 16. And so we realized there was chromium 6 in the water in A leaf. And I just started thinking, I was like,
Mm.
so our water was contaminated.
Yeah,
So for me, when I saw Sand Branch, part of me was like, I wish I could have done something.
yeah,
I went to the chemo appointments, I went to the radiation
yeah.
appointments. It was basically just me and her
So
and my grandmother.
environmental injustice is something that has
Personal,
affected you personally.
correct, personally. So then you see Sand Branch, and you know how you see something and you just can't let it go.
Absolutely.
So I looked at that. I was like, I couldn't save my mom. Maybe I can save Sand Branch. And it's not some hero type
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I don't have that kind of ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's so personal to me because I look at, people like Miss Betty. I look at Miss Ellen. They're about the same age that my mom would have been. So can I do something for them that I couldn't do for her? And even if none of that had happened, it still would be the same because this is a basic human right. These are our people. You can't see Sam Branch and be okay with it.
Yes.
Once my homeboy told me about it, I said, "What?"
Yeah.
I had the same reaction that most people have. That why are we okay? When I went and spoke at NARAB where all the black real estate people were, and I said point blank to them, and I know half the room, I lost half the room, and I do not care.
Mm-hmm.
I do not care. I'm serious.
He's serious, y'all.
Because when I said we don't care enough, it hit them in the gut.
Yeah.
The other half of the room got it because they know in deep down, anybody that sees Sam Branch knows this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not something that we can't fix. We don't even need help, honestly. If just us that look like us decided to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
it would be done.
Yes.
And that's why it's personal to me. Also, Pastor Cahey, who was originally pushing, who was the pastor of Mount Zion
Okay.
in Sand Branch, it was my fraternity brother. I never met him.
Wow.
He died in a house fire in 2019.
Rest in peace.
You know,
Mhm.
and so when I pledged Sigma, it wasn't for the parties. It wasn't for the ladies.
Mhm.
Y'all can go read that book, The Warrior, by my side, that talks about people and their ladies. But you
We'll
know,
talk about that later.
but it wasn't for that. It was because of service.
Mhm.
And one thing that you learn when you elect to join a brotherhood, that's centered around service, you actually have to do service.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I tell this story all the time. I remember when MTV was going to do this show called Sorority. That's when I saw the power of our Black Greek organizations.
Yeah.
Because I got it because my brother was a Sigma before
Mhm.
obviously, I mean, you're a Sigma to the day that you die and even beyond that. But I got to see that growing up and I said, almost all the, people that did well for themselves and went to school and everything, pledged a sorority or fraternity. But when that show came out, they didn't show the letters, right? But they had the colors.
Mhm.
And I mean, the folks on the show, it was a reality show. They were acting an absolute donkey. And I was like, I mean,
Yeah.
that it's just to me, it was just another reality show. It didn't,
Yeah.
hit me one way or another. But then when I saw the person wearing blue, I was like, that's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Now, I moved on from it, right? The presidents of every one of the Black Greek organizations got together. And remember, these are the same folks that sit in our churches, that pastor our churches, that run the big organizations, that are executives and regular everyday people. We're represented well.
Mhm.
Those 9 presidents got together, wrote a letter. That show was gone in 5 days.
Wow, look at this look at the how they can expedite something quickly.
Correct. So I just think about some of the issues that we
Mhm.
have, but I think about how much power we actually have.
Yes.
Because what if we just said, you know what, we're going to collectively, just like we got rid of that show in 5 days. Imagine because it was embarrassing,
Yes.
not because it was wrong. It was
Yes.
embarrassing to our ideals. Homelessness is embarrassing to my ideals.
Absolutely.
People without water is embarrassing to my ideals.
Yes.
So why can't we say, you know what? We're going to get together. We have access to every church in this country, every Black church in this country. You can find a Sigma, a Alpha, a Kappa, an Omega, an Iota, a AKA, a
Mhm.
Delta, a
Mhm.
Sigma Gamma Rho, a Zeta at every single church in this country.
Yes.
Why can't we fix Sand Branch?
That leads kind of to my next, which we've touched on, throughout this interview, but political will.
That's it.
Why is there such a lack? And I'm not talking about a lack of political. Let's go deeper into our own community. I kind of understand why there's a lack of political will at the state level.
Right. Right.
I get it at the federal level.
Right.
I kind of get it at the local level.
Right.
Why is there not a political, uh, 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 you know, just what's the word I'm looking for? Just like you said, there should be some shame a
Right.
little bit
Right.
to see a freedman's town. Something that we sit back, we tell our kids, man, like we Juneteenth, we talk about Juneteenth. Juneteenth
Right.
is so important to us. It's like our Independence Day,
Right.
and
It
yet
is our
it
Independence
is
Day.
our Independence Day.
Because if one
Yes,
of us ain't free, we all ain't free.
and you could make the argument that we're not still.
Correct.
But speaking on that, we say all this. We we admire and we prop up those black and brown, you know, civil rights leaders, those heroes of the past, the heroes of today,
Mhm.
and we allow for another black and brown community to, if we do nothing, will disappear.
Correct.
So why, in your opinion,
Mm?
do you feel like in our community as black people that we have such a lack of political will to not only help towns like Sand Branch, but
Mhm.
I'm assuming the thousands of other towns across America that are facing the same issues as the people of Sand Branch?
I started the interview saying we don't care enough.
Mhm.
We don't care enough.
Mhm.
That's the issue. That's the political will issue.
You just don't care.
We just don't care. Not we don't care. And I've never talked to anyone that said forget Sand Branch.
Right.
They always say, "Well, I support Sand Branch. I've been down there. I've done a water drive down there." Well, once you do a water drive and you take a picture and you post it, they need more water. You know,
Facts.
it's just that simple. We don't care enough to take the risk. A lot of people told me that they don't want to make John Wiley Price mad. I say things very point blank at
Yeah.
this point. You know, ain't nobody scared of John Wiley
Oh
Price.
God, bro.
You know what I mean?
And the
Why?
rest of them around him.
But what I'll tell you is I understand some people are choosing their livelihood because it's very real that you could lose your livelihood if you work certain places where he has influence.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
See, on my end, nothing's happened to me,
Hmm.
so we're going to keep doing what we need to do
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, if doing the right thing is way stronger than the fear of losing anything.
Amen.
Because at the end of the day, the people in Sand Branch don't have water.
Yeah.
The fear that you have of losing your livelihood and maybe you can't get water for your family, they can't do it right now. That's
Right.
their reality.
Right.
So, fear
For
of,
decades. For a lot of
yes,
these families. Yes.
decades. Yeah. So, it's been fear. We have the ability, we just don't care enough. Because imagine, even if my fraternity, and see, when you love something, you have the ability to critique it, right?
Yes.
I love Dallas County. I love the city of Dallas. I love DFW,
Yes.
and I love it differently because I chose it.
Right.
You know, I
You could have stayed in Houston.
could have stayed in Houston,
Yeah. Yeah.
but sometimes when you're called to do something, you go do it. I never had plans of moving here, but I moved here and fell in love, not
Yeah.
with the woman, but with the place.
Right. 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 No, that makes sense, man. Let's get to a more positive,
Absolutely.
aspect of this, man. What's next? What's next for Sam Branch? What are some of the wins that we can kind of tip our hat to, man? Like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
So
let's,
one of the things that we like is tangible results,
yeah.
not stuff you write down on paper and say, "See, we did this," or take a picture. Somebody told me Miss Betty, every time it rained, she got scared. And I was like, well, why is she scared? Imagine not having water at 76 years old, but it rains in your house because the county told you that you couldn't repair your house because you live in a floodplain. That's a lie
That's a lie.
because it's an improvement. It's a repair, not in a new structure.
Right.
That
Right.
doesn't Fixing your roof has nothing to do with the floodplain.
At all.
So don't tell this elderly black woman that she can't fix her roof.
Yeah.
And they were scared. I told them, I said, we're going to fix your roof. The Water for Sand Branch Coalition got together and we figured out how to put a new roof on her house. And Miss Ellen,
That's
we put
dope.
a new roof on her
That's
house.
dope.
It was raining inside her house.
Yeah, man.
She was scared as well.
Yeah.
Well, we said if anybody shows up and they have a problem with it, tell them to call me.
Yeah.
What they gonna do? Beat me up for putting a new roof on the
Right.
house? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and someone said the sheriff was driving around. And I said, "Well, tell him." I
For
said,
what?
"Hey,
Wait, that's so crazy though. It's so funny because like they're unincorporated, so they don't have access to certain services from the city, but they can still be penalized by the city.
correct, correct." And I said, if they drop $1 of a fine,
Yeah.
I'm gonna act a donkey.
Right.
So,
Low
needless,
key, low key would love to see that. I'm not gonna lie.
needless to say, there we were able to put two new roofs. We're gonna do more. We It's dark at nighttime. It's very, very dark in Sand Branch at night. So we also, shout out to our community movement builders.
Shouts out, man.
Shout
CMB.
out to them, my
Yeah.
brothers
Yeah. Hell yeah.
and my sisters.
Yeah.
They put at their cost,
Hmm.
they raised the money to put up a light at no charge to Miss Betty.
I love that, man.
And they got two more that are going up soon.
Okay.
So those are just I like to tell people about the tangible things that you can drive out there and go see for yourself.
Yes.
Because prior to us being there, no one was bold enough to do that. They've just gone along. People have gotten grants. We've never gotten one grant.
Wow.
This is all blood, sweat, and tears.
Wow.
So other than, a $2,500 donation for materials from Lowe's,
Yeah.
those were
Which
gift cards
which is
from
cool.
Lowe's, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, we used that. We also lifted a neighbor's property up 2 feet so it wouldn't
Mm.
flood. And it's not because of the floodplain, it's because of the runoff from the other properties next to her. So
Just how the
we lifted the land. We
right,
went
right.
out there with our own hands. And
Yeah.
then one of the community members saw us working because that's what we do. We work.
Hell yeah.
He dropped his bobcat off.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah, he dropped his bobcat off so we
Yeah,
weren't physically having to do everything to lift up property. So those are some of the things we've done. We've also obviously we've donated water,
yes.
lots and lots of water. We've donated different, we do stuff that we're not going to talk about too,
Of
just to
course.
help folks. But
Yeah.
what I will say is we put together the entire plan to bring permanent water.
Okay.
So the professional side, we sat down and put together exactly where they run. We looked at all the easements and all of those things. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's
Right.
a good time to educate yourself.
Right.
But you can always call us. I love educating people on those things. So we put together that whole plan. We wrote an entire grant. We have an entire plan of how it needs to be done. We're just raising money to do it.
Got you. Got you.
That's it. So I mean, those are the wins. We wrote an entire Senate bill,
Love that.
for the next ledge session, because we want to protect the neighbors, with their property taxes. We also have volunteer attorneys that are going to help with probate issues because that's usually what happens in our communities. So everything to protect that community, it's not just the water or the sewer. We're working on changing the trash collection deals there because if you don't have a water bill, you don't have trash collection.
Right. Right.
So there's a nonprofit there that provides those trash cans.
Okay.
We
Awesome.
changed their strategy of how they were doing it because they were doing it in an inefficient way. So we were
Okay.
like, man, just fix this.
Do A,
So
B, C.
whatever needs to be done in Sand Branch, we're either already doing or we're working on what the permanent solution is.
Got you.
So don't let anyone tell you it's other organizations necessarily doing all of that together.
Yeah.
We even help take care of dog food with the animals with
You're truly a coalition.
Operation Kindness. Correct. We're
Yeah.
bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
And if people aren't a part of our coalition, it's okay. Anyone can do anything. Anyone can show up.
Yeah.
But our goal is to make sure everything gets done.
Got you. Speaking of showing up, man, how can our audience help? What's where can they work? Where can they find you guys? Whether it be social media or
Yeah,
website.
yeah.
Shout yourself out. Shouts out all the links. But just let everyone know what can they do next to come and help out the people of Sand Branch.
So the biggest thing, they constantly need water
Of course.
and food, actually.
Hmm.
Water and food. That's one thing. Our website is waterforsandbranch.org. All of our social media is Water for Sand Branch Coalition or Water for Sand Branch. So we're real easy to find. We do a video every single day talking about something in Sand Branch, and I'm going to do those videos until there's water in Sand Branch.
Hell yeah, man.
So we're not stopping. Also, what someone can do is call Dallas County.
Okay.
That's an easy one. Call, email.
Who would they call? Who would they email so we can make it a little bit more
Oh,
granular?
let's email everyone.
Okay.
Email Clay Jenkins, email John Wiley Price.
Got you.
Really mainly those two.
Okay.
Um and then we're going to coordinate at some point to go speak. We're not going to say when. We're not going to say who cuz
Right.
it might not even be me.
Right. Exactly. Strategy.
So, cuz they might kick me out,
Right. Right. That's really what it is.
so
I
before
feel
I
you
even
on that.
show up.
Got it.
But what you can do is share the videos,
Yeah.
come volunteer, go to our website, sign up as a volunteer.
Do you have
Um,
volunteer days? Like specific? Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you can come anytime. We
Got you.
used to say Saturdays from 8 to 11, but now we have relationships in the community where anytime you show up
You're
to
something
do
to do.
something, there's something to do, there's something to help with. I always bring some water,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I love that, man. Derek, man, I appreciate you sitting down with me and sharing
Absolutely.
not only your story, but the story of people of Sand Branch. It's extremely important, y'all. This is something that is This is not a singular problem.
Right.
There are so many different towns, so many different cities across the United States that are lacking basic necessities like water, like food, like housing. Sam Branch needs all the above.
All of
And
it.
so let's come together as a community. Let's come together as one people, as Americans, and let's help folks that need it the most because they deserve it and it's their right. So, Derek, I appreciate you, man. This is Real with
Appreciate you.
O'Neill. We'll catch y'all later.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
Boom.
It's a wrap.
It's a rep ski.